Okay, we'd like to share a little bit about why Ignatian spirituality, why yoga, and why Ignatian yoga. So, Ignatian spirituality, as we know, is one of the spiritual traditions within the Christian tradition. Within the Catholic Church, we have many different spiritualities, and Ignatian spirituality that came out of the life of Saint Ignatius. It's coming up to 500 years now that people have been practicing it, and I find it exciting that now more than ever there's more people who are practicing it. There's more adaptations of this tradition than ever, uh, and so it's exciting to be part of this, continuing to make it accessible, to make it relevant to the times that we're in. So, what is it about Ignatian spirituality? I think the sense of being a contemplative in action. So it's for people who are active and busy in the world. So how do we take on that prayer that we read at the beginning, to see with new eyes, to see with spiritual eyes as we're moving through the busyness of the world? So being contemplatives in action. But this can be a challenging thing to be, to hold both of these, the contemplative and the active piece. And so that's where discernment, Ignatian discernment is key. So discerning the spirits, being able to recognize when I'm in consolation or desolation, and the more we can develop that disposition, then we can make life decisions, small and big, that would be more in sync with the good spirit, making decisions when we're in consolation, trusting that rather than operating under desolation.
Great. Yeah, thanks, Bobby. In At its heart, really, where Ignatian yoga is going to be drawing from is the spiritual exercises of Saint Ignatius, which is, there's 4 weeks. It's a series of meditations, contemplations, reflections. It engages really the whole person, the cognitive, the affective, the imaginative. And one of the things that occurred for me while I was going through the exercises was I would go back week to week with my director and say, this is brilliant, this is amazing, that there is a framework that you follow, and it allows you to be completely yourself within that framework. Part of the question that I always had as a Christian is, what do I do? I was sort of looking for practices, and that's also what drew me to yoga, is practices that actually, as George Aschenbrunner, one of the great Jesuit writers, talks about, raising the sail of your heart so that you can be open to receive the gift of God's grace, the winds of grace. And, for me, the spiritual exercises and the Ignatian way of proceeding really was a good fit for me. And again, some of these principles that Bobby mentioned, discernment, contemplation and action, finding God in all things, and really and deep down being able to trust yourself, recognizing that God dwells within really the depth of our human experience. God is not to be found somewhere else. So it's really sort of like, one Jesuit said, some spiritual traditions, they say this world is like big and scary and we just sort of want to, protect ourselves from it. So that's not the Ignatian way. It's, let's jump in and find God there. And that was something that appealed to me.
Yeah, and finding God in all things, I was thinking about recently the Albert Einstein quote that you can live your life as if everything is a miracle or as if nothing is a miracle. And I think similarly with finding God in all things, we can live life as if God is in all things, or as if God is in nothing. So which one do we operate under more often? Probably it's on a spectrum, and there's times that we really do see and believe that God is in all things, but so how can we continue to go into that?